Okay, back here for the third and final episode of Luxury Watch Intro. This is the exciting part. We finally made it. Yes. Now we're going to talk about basically which watch should you buy, right? You did your research. You're ready to go into the store. Let me just give you some background information on some brands, just to kind of get you in the door as far as what's going on here. Okay, so first thing you should know is there's different levels of watches, right? And let's talk about the different levels. This is very subjective, and there's going to be a lot of debate here, but I'm just trying to talk just to give you a guideline on what's going on here. So I'm going to give you like five watch levels. I'm going to give you entry level Swiss, maybe entry level Swiss luxury, your mid tier Swiss luxury, and then your top tier luxury. Let's go from the top and then go down, just to kind of set things off. So your top tier luxury, right? These are going to be watches that are probably more than $10,000. Some brands in there are going to be Patek, uh, Audemars, Mueller. You haven't heard of those? Google them. One step down from there is going to be your mid tier Swiss luxury. These are going to be probably between $5,000 and $10,000. Those are going to be your Rolex, Panerai, IWC, Omega. One step down from there is going to be what I consider your entry level Swiss luxury. So these are going to be Swiss watches as opposed to Japanese or Chinese with mechanical movements. Your entry level Swiss is going to be probably between $2,000 and $4,000. So some brands in there are going to be like your Tag Heuer, Ebel, Tudor, things you may have heard of before. One step down from that are going to be like your entry level Swiss watches. So these would be watches that are probably not considered luxury watches, but they're Swiss made. So some brands there, these are going to be between $500 and $1,500, give or take. Maybe that's going to be like your Oris, your Movado, Fortis. And then finally, everything else under there I'm going to consider entry level. These are going to be entry level watches, maybe Swiss, maybe, but probably usually Japanese quartz movements. So there's going to be like your Timex, Casio, Bulova, Citizen, Seiko, things like that. Things that you could probably find in any department store, maybe even Costco, right? I think Costco, the highest they may even go is like, I think I've seen some tags in there. I'm purposely leaving out fashion watches because those are kind of like in a whole different category. By fashion watches, I mean like, Gucci, Burberry, stuff like that, because those are essentially just rebadged other products, and the people who buy those are not really buying those for the history of the watch. They're mainly, maybe they have an outfit, I think, that they want to go with it, so they're just big on Gucci or something, so they want to buy a Gucci watch. I'm purposely leaving those out. So to recap, five different levels. You got your entry level, entry level Swiss, entry level Swiss luxury, mid tier Swiss luxury, and then your top tier luxury. At the bottom would be your Timex, your Casio, your Bulova. The top end would be your Patek Philippe, Audemars, Mueller, Rolex, and some other brands like that would be one step down from them. So there is some overlap here, right? For example, there's the Grand Seiko, which can cost more than an entry level tag. But these are general guidelines. For example, even though there's overlap, I don't think anybody would argue with you that tag is in a higher class than Seiko, right? Or nobody's going to argue with you that Rolex is in a higher class than tag. They have different models at the beginning and high ends of these, depending on, just to get you in the brand. It's kind of like how like BMW now, they have like that one series, which is like, okay, it's going to get you in the brand. you know you can get something else in that price range that is probably going to, you could probably get, probably an Accord with all the bells and whistles, top tier, or Avalon for maybe that same price. But again, nobody's going to argue with you that BMW is in a different class than Honda. So I'm just trying to give you ideas that, there's these are general guidelines, there's ranges here. They have different watches and different price points to get you in the brand, but this is just kind of let you speak intelligently about that. Next thing I want to talk about is probably the big thing, right? If you're watching this video and you made it this far, you probably want to know, okay, well, finally, okay, which watch should I buy? And that is really a tough call there. I mean, a watch is very personal, right? It's something you wear every day on your skin. I mean, that's like it's like asking somebody what type of clothes should they wear, or what food should they eat, or even what type of woman you're gonna date. I mean, there's no right or wrong answer for everybody. It depends on what you're looking for. What you need to do. No brainer. Money's no object. If you want to get a watch that you know is going to be quality, indisputable, go for Rolex. I mean, yeah, no problems there, right? Nobody's going to argue with you on that. You know, Easy answer. So if you made it that far, if that's what you were watching this for, you got it. I'll keep going for just to give you some more information on things. The factors in your watch collection are going to depend on what you like. I mean, if you want just a simple face, or do you want a lot of complications? Depends on your budget, of course, right? If your budget is maybe $200 or $300, then that's obviously going to put you down into, I don't want to say put you down, but that's going to basically have you in your entry level watches. So, within those, you may find something that matches what you're looking for. Also depends on if you want something that's iconic or something that's more trendy. Like, for example, an icon would be Omega Speedmaster Professional, right? IWC Portuguese, um, Rolex Submariner, iconic watches, right? When you see these, people copy these a million times over, you know, versus something trendy, which I would probably say the Apple Watch is something that's trendy. There's no history behind it. You don't know what's going to happen. Whereas something iconic is something that people have been wearing for many years. It's always going to look good. The style is proven. Something iconic is like a white polo shirt. Iconic, right? That's going to look good today. That's going to look good probably 20 years from now. Another thing to think about is how long you plan on keeping it. So if you're like a watch flipper, like if the idea, or if you're by a watch flipper, I mean maybe you're the type of guy where you're gonna get something, you're probably gonna wear it for a couple months, maybe you're gonna sell it and get something else. So if you're gonna be a watch flipper like that, then you're probably gonna want to get something that retains its value the most, because that way, after you buy something and you sell it, you don't want to lose a lot of money. And also, something else you want to consider is if you want an in-house movement or an ETA movement. So, I mean, it's all a lot of factors that goes into what watch you should buy. Which watch is better? Again, I mean, that's very subjective. It's like, which painter is better, Michelangelo or Picasso? Is iPhone better than Android? Is Honda better than Toyota? Which is better is going to depend on a lot of factors. So there's really no easy answer for those type of things. Think about what it is you're trying to do there, what functions you need, what features you need, how long you plan on having it, things like that. One of the common things I hear people say is, well, I want something, some type of heirloom. I'm going to buy it as an investment. I'm going to give it to my kid. And let's think about that also. I mean, how many kids now even wear watches today in 2016? I don't think a lot of kids even wear watches because they always have their phone. I just wouldn't want you to buy some type of watch thinking that you're going to hand it down to the kid, because maybe the kid doesn't even want that in the year 2040 or something, right? He might say, maybe wearing a watch makes you look like an old man or something. So, I mean, keep that in mind also. Keep that in mind also. Think really about what it is you're trying to do there. So now, if we're going to go for resale value, if you want to just take a pure, just, okay, you know, I want something bulletproof where if I make a mistake, it's no problem. Obviously, the higher brands have the highest resale value. Patek Philippe first, followed by Rolex and maybe Tudor, right? Can't go wrong on those. Pretty much, you buy something like that, you get your money back. You're probably going to be okay on those. Whereas other ones, you may lose 20 or 30% within a couple of years or so. I think maybe Patek and Rolex probably have a higher resale value, is because people who buy those watches normally keep them. So there's probably just less of them, I think, available on the market. And as we know, the less of something there is, the more rare it is, the more valuable it is. Of course, there's a lot of marketing behind some of those things that keeps those brands in demand. Features, features. By features, I mean all that time I spent on history, giving you the history here. This is where all that's going to come into play. Because keep in mind, originally watches were tools. They were made for utility. What I mean is that when watches originally came out, the features were like the apps of that time period. They actually had some utility there that you can use that for. So you want to really think about features. What do you need the watch to do for you? For example, in my case, I really don't need a watch that has the date on it, like 23, because probably I'm gonna know what date it is. I mean, 95% of the time, probably in my foreseeable future, I don't see myself being somewhere where I'm not gonna know what date it is. I'm probably always gonna know what day of the week it is, right? Because I'm probably gonna have my phone on me. So I probably don't need a watch that has a day and date on it, or calendar, or moon phase, But think about some guy who's over there in Iraq or something, or in the field somewhere. He's on some forward operating base. Yeah, in that case, then maybe it's very valuable to have a watch that has the date on it, the month, right? So think about what utility that you need there, or somebody who does a lot of work outdoors. Maybe they're a tour guide, or they're a whitewater rafter instructor, right? They probably want a watch that can take bangs. If you hit it on something, it falls or something. It's got a lot of shock resistance. So maybe they want to go for like Casio G Shock or something. Or if it's somebody who's a lifeguard or something, maybe they want a watch that's very water resistant, because they're probably going to be jumping in and out of the water or something. So the features are going to determine. I think that should be the main deciding point of um, what type of watch you're going to get. Think about what features you need, right? And then also, like, what type of band does it have? Is it stainless steel or leather? Like, most of your real dressy watches are going to have a leather band on them, whereas stainless steel is kind of more common now. I mean, stainless steel is good because stainless steel is heavy, but it's also durable. So if you're typing or something, you're on your desk or something like that all day, it's gonna resist getting scraped. Um, Leather is nice. Leather is nice because it develops patina over time. Like a pair of shoes or something. It forms to your wrist. But leather isn't good for hot weather, right? You don't want to you start sweating in a leather band. Not a good deal. Same thing for bands. If you're gonna use it in the water a lot, you probably want something with a rubber strap on it. So these are all features. These are all features here. Think about what features you need, and think about what features can you get for a certain price point that you're trying to stay in. Those are probably the best advice that I can give you there. Um, Personal advice, I would say, would be to go for quality over quantity. When you start collecting things, I know it could be kind of you get one and then you kind of get the fever, and now you want to get another one. I would say don't go for the most expensive thing out there, but go for the best quality and what you can afford. What's going to give you the most bang for the buck. I would probably rather have one good $1,500 watch than three okay $500 watches, right? That's just me, because at the end of the day, I have something else that's going to help me tell time. So if you want to just have different looks, you could get a Timex Weekender. I think that's like $30. NATO strap, you can switch those straps out. You know, depending on if you want something color coordinated, you can wear something different every day. Just about. But overall, I'd probably say I'd go for quality over quantity. And then also, I would say, when possible, buy pre-owned instead of new. Now, before you say anything, maybe for the first time, I'm going to tell you this is what's going to happen. You're going to go into the store. The guy is going to be well dressed. He's going to have a nice counter. He's going to have nice lighting in there. They may even offer you champagne or something, espresso. You want that whole experience of going to the store, getting the champagne. They bring it out. It's well lit. Everything's reflecting. Okay, you put it on. Looks good. They size it right then and there. Give you the nice bag with the bow on it. Yeah, boom. Everybody's looking at you when you're in there. They're like, yeah, this guy, he's doing it. He's buying this watch. First time, if you need to do that, do that. Maybe once after that, I'd say go secondhand because a watch is not like buying like a used car where you know maybe you say, well, a car has probably a 10 years lifespan, so if I buy a car that's 5 years old, pretty much like half of its lifespan has been used up. Not like that at all, because something to keep in mind is that anytime you take this watch in for service, they're going to replace parts as needed anyway, right? So you can buy that watch brand new. 5 years later, you take it in for service. If it needs a part that's going to come out, they're going to replace that part. You're not really losing anything. You could say, well, the case might be scuffed up, the bracelet might be scuffed up. Well, I mean, those are going to be priced accordingly, but you can get all that. You can get all those polished. You can get that polished look just like new. You can get a new bracelet. If if you're buying new, just know that you're gonna just like a car. They're both mechanical. You have a lot of depreciation within the first couple of years there. You know, maybe it could even be between 20 and 30%. Rolex is probably better as far as keep retaining its value, but I mean, it's not going to be. You're not going to probably get the same thing that you paid for it. So, if you're going to do that, maybe you want to think about buying secondhand. For your first one, like I said, maybe like how some people do, people who've been married more than once, once they get to their second one, they're like, oh, I don't want a big wedding for that same reason. It's like, okay, you've already gone through it. You already went, you already had the experience of buying it new and going to the boutique. I mean, I'd probably say to buy pre-owned instead of new. Buying pre-owned means you have to do a lot of work. You got to go on Google. You got to find out what sites are out there. I'm not going to mention any because they're out there, right? Google it. Go on YouTube. They're out there. You have to wait also, right? There's no instant gratification there. You have to probably identify which one you want, maybe watch some videos on it, go to the company website, look at the history. Then you got to hunt for it. For some people, that's more of the intriguing part. They like the hunt part. So yeah, you're gonna have to wait. There's no instant gratification there. By doing that, you can probably get a specific model or color that isn't available at your local boutique. So you have a more custom choice by buying secondhand. There's a lot more options available there as far as which one you want, because it's not just within the United States, right? You can go worldwide. This is the internet age, right? You could buy something from China, legitimate, and they'll send it to you air next day, no problem. So not only do you have a larger selection, but you also have a worldwide audience versus just your local store at the mall. So keep that in mind. Personal advice, I'd say quality over quantity, and buy pre-owned instead of new. If you made it this far, I'm going to wrap up here. I want to thank you for watching all these videos. I know the history was kind of boring, but I wanted to give you something different that you're not getting from anybody else on YouTube. In the second video, we talked more about the movement because, again, when you go into that store, you're going to notice a wide difference in prices. And normally the prices have to do with, whether it's an in-house movement or what type of complications that are on there. But just know the reason why Rolex is probably, considered the gold standard for things. And again, there's a lot of watches that, are a lot better than Rolex as far as, history, you know, just know that they use an in-house movement. You're going to pay for that. And when you buy into that, you're buying into the maintenance also. But we also learned about, how to pick one. So I think that's good. So that way you're not just going by what your friend says. You actually have a good knowledge now where you go into that store, or even before you even go in there, you pretty much know what you're looking for. Keep in mind, what's your budget? Because that's going to determine what level of watch you're going to get, and then you can narrow down on brands. Then think about what features you want. Once you get to those brands that you can afford, you can narrow down to what features you want. And then that'll help you determine specific models. Okay, then if you go, used, secondhand versus new, that's going to let you get more bang for your buck. So, with that being said, you should be well equipped to go out there You know, hey, if you get something, leave me a message. Tell me what you got. I have many interests. This is just one of them. Thank you for watching.